In this video, we're going to have a look at how do we sketch a linear line on a Cartesian plane using the intercepts method. When we use the intercepts method, there are 3 steps to be able to sketch our linear graph. The first step is to calculate the x-intercept. Now the x-intercept is going to be the value of x when y is equal to 0. The second step is going to be to identify the y-intercept. Now this can be done in 2 ways. The first one can be if we know the rule and it's in the format y equals mx plus c, we can determine our value for c. The second way of determining the y-intercept is when x is equal to 0, what does y equal to? Now once we have our x and our y-intercept, our third step is going to be to sketch the graph. And that is done by marking the x and the y-intercepts onto our graph and joining them with a straight line. So let's have a look at an example. In this example, we are going to have a look at how to sketch the rule 2x plus 5y equals 10 onto the Cartesian plane using the intercepts method. Now the first step is going to be to determine what is the x-intercept. And we determine the x-intercept by finding out the value of x when y is equal to 0. So my first step is going to be write down the rule 2x plus 5y is equal to 10, and then go ahead and substitute y is equal to 0. So 2x plus 5 times 0 is equal to 10. So 5 times 0 is going to be equal to 0. So I can simplify that to 2x is equal to 10. Now I want to get x by itself. And the way I do that is to divide 2x by 2. And what I do to the left-hand side, I also need to do to the right-hand side. So divide that by 2 as well. So then it becomes x is equal to 10 divided by 2, which is 5. So my x-intercept is going to be 5. Now the next step is to determine the y-intercept. Now in this example, the rule in the question, that is 2x plus 5y is equal to 10, is not in the form of y equals mx plus c. So I can't determine the y-intercept using the rule, but I can determine the y-intercept by working out what is my y value when x is equal to 0. So I do that using the same process that I did for my x-intercept, but this time when I substitute in, it's going to be x is equal to 0. So 2x plus 5y is equal to 10. So substituting 0 in for x, 2 times 0 plus 5y is equal to 10. 2 times 0 is 0, so I can simplify that to 5y is equal to 10. Now to get y by itself, I need to divide 5y by 5. What I do to the left-hand side, I also do to the right-hand side. So I can then determine y is equal to 10 divided by 5, which is equal to 2. So I've now found my x-intercept, which is 5, and my y-intercept, which is 2. I can go ahead and complete the last step, which is to graph it onto the Cartesian plane. Now I do that by first marking my intercepts. So on my x-axis is going to be equal to 5, and on my y-axis is going to be equal to 2. So now that I've got my 2 intercepts marked on the Cartesian plane, I can go ahead and join those 2 marks with a straight line. So once I've drawn my straight line, I go ahead and label that line with the rule from the question. So 2x plus 5y is equal to 10. And that's an example of how I use the intercepts method to graph a linear line on a Cartesian plane where I've got to actually calculate both the x and the y-intercept from the rule provided.